For who hath she to spend the night withal, but idle sounds resembling parasites, like shrill-tongued tapsters answering every call, soothing the humour of fantastic wits? She says,
"'Tis so."
They answer all, "'Tis so," and would say after her if she said no. Lo, here the gentle lark, weary of rest, from his moist cabinet mounts up on high, and wakes the morning, from whose silver breast the sun ariseth in his majesty. Who doth the world so gloriously behold, that cedar tops and hills seemed burnished gold? Venus salutes him with this fair good morrow.
O thou clear God, and patron of all light, from whom each lamp and shining star doth borrow the beauteous influence that makes him bright, there lives a son that sucked an earthly mother, may lend thee light, as thou dost lend to other.
This said, she hasteth to a myrtle grove, musing the morning is so much o'erworn, and yet she hears no tidings of her love. She hearkens for his hounds and for his horn. Anon she hears them chant it lustily, and all in haste she coasteth to the cry. And as she runs, the bushes in the way, some catch her by the neck, some kiss her face, some twine about her thigh to make her stay, she wildly breaketh from their strict embrace, like a milch-doe whose swelling dugs do ache, hasting to feed her fawn hid in some brake. By this she hears the hounds are at bay, whereat she starts like one that spies an adder wreathed up in fatal folds just in his way, the fear whereof doth make him shake and shudder. Even so the timorous yelping of the hounds appals her senses and her spirit confounds. For now she knows it is no gentle chase, but the blunt boar, rough bear, or lion proud, because the cry remaineth in one place, while ere fearfully the dogs exclaim aloud. Finding their enemy to be so curst, they all strain courtesy who shall cope him first. This dismal cry rings sadly in her ear, through all which it enters to surprise her heart, who, overcome by doubt and bloodless fear, with cold pale weakness numbs each feeling part. Like soldiers, when their captain once doth yield, they basely fly and dare not stay the field. Thus stands she in a trembling ecstasy, till cheering up her senses sore dismayed, she tells them 'tis a causeless fantasy and childish error that they are afraid, bids them leave quaking, bids them fear no more, and with that word she spied the hunted boar, whose frothy mouth bepainted all with red, like milk and blood being mingled both together. A second fear through all her sinews spread, which madly hurries her she knows not whither. This way she runs, and now she will no further, but back retires to rate the boar for murder. 1,000 spleens bear her 1,000 ways, she treads the path that she untreads again. Her more than haste is mated with delays, like the proceedings of a drunken brain, full of respects, yet not at all respecting, in hand with all things, not at all affecting. Here, kennelled in a brake, she finds a hound, and asks the weary caitiff for his master, and there another licking of his wound, 'gainst venom's sores the only sovereign plaster. And here she meets another sadly scowling, to whom she speaks, and he replies with howling. When he hath ceased this ill-resounding noise, another flap-mouthed mourner, black and grim, against the welkin volleys out his voice. Another and another answer him, clapping their proud tails to the ground below, shaking their scratched ears, bleeding as they go. Look how the world's poor people are amazed at apparitions, signs, and prodigies, whereon with fearful eyes they long have gazed, infusing them with dreadful prophecies. So she at these sad sighs draws up her breath, and sighing it again, exclaims on death.
Hard-favoured tyrant, ugly, meagre, lean, hateful divorce of love!
Thus chides she death.
Grim grinning ghost, earth's worm, what dost thou mean to stifle beauty and to steal his breath, who when he lived, his breath and beauty set gloss on the rose, smell to the violet? If he be dead, oh no, it cannot be, seeing his beauty thou shouldst strike at it. Oh yes, it may. Thou hast no eyes to see, but hatefully at random dost thou hit. Thy mark is feeble age, but thy false dart mistakes that aim, and cleaves an infant's heart. Hadst thou but bid beware, then he had spoke, and hearing him, thy power had lost his power. The destinies will curse thee for this stroke. They bid thee crop a weed, thou pluck'st a flower. Love's golden arrow at him should have fled, and not death's ebon dart to strike him dead. Dost thou drink tears that thou provoke such weeping? What may a heavy groan advantage thee? Why hast thou cast into eternal sleeping those eyes that taught all other eyes to see? Now nature cares not for thy mortal vigour, since her best work is ruined with thy rigour.
Here overcome, as one full of despair, she veiled her eyelids, who like sluices stopped the crystal tide that from her two cheeks fair in the sweet channel of her bosom dropped, but through the floodgates breaks the silver rain, and with his strong course opens them again. Oh, how her eyes and tears did lend and borrow! Her eyes seen in the tears, tears in her eye, both crystals where they viewed each other's sorrow, sorrow that friendly sighs sought still to dry, but like a stormy day, now wind, now rain, sighs dry her cheeks, tears make them wet again. Variable passions throng her constant woe, as striving who should best become her grief. All entertained, each passion labours so, that every present sorrow seemeth chief. But none is best, they join them all together, like many clouds consulting for foul weather. By this, far off she hears some huntsman hollow, a nurse's song no e'er pleased her babe so well. The dire imagination she did follow, this sound of hope doth labour to expel, for now reviving joy bids her rejoice, and flatters her it is Adonis' voice. Whereat her tears began to turn their tide, being prisoned in her eye like pearls in glass, yet sometimes falls an orient drop beside, which her cheek melts, as scorning it should pass to wash the foul face of the sluttish ground, who is but drunken when she seemeth drowned. O hard believing love! How strange it seems not to believe, and yet too credulous. Thy weal and woe are both of them extremes, despair and hope make thee ridiculous. The one doth flatter thee in thoughts unlikely, in likely thoughts the other kills thee quickly. Now she unweaves the web that she hath wrought, Adonis lives, and death is not to blame. It was not she that called him all to naught. Now she adds honours to his hateful name. She cleps him king of graves, and grave for kings, imperious supreme of all mortal things.
No, no,
quoth she.
Sweet death, I did but jest. Yet pardon me, I felt a kind of fear when as I met the boar, that bloody beast which knows no pity, but is still severe. Then, gentle shadow, truth I must confess, I railed on thee, fearing my love's decease. 'Tis not my fault, the boar provoked my tongue. Be wreaked on him, invisible commander. 'Tis he, foul creature, that hath done thee wrong. I did but act, he's author of my slander. Grief hath two tongues, and never woman yet could rule them both without 10 women's wit.
Thus hoping that Adonis is alive, her rash suspect Sile doth extenuate, and that his beauty may the better thrive, with death she humbly doth insinuate, tells him of trophies, statues, tombs, and stories, his victories, his triumphs, and his glories.
O Jove,
quoth she,
how much a fool was I, to be of such a weak and silly mind, to wail his death who lives and must not die till mutual overthrow of mortal kind. For he being dead, with him is beauty slain, and beauty dead, black chaos comes again. Fie, fie, fond love, thou art so full of fear as one with treasure laden, hemmed with thieves. Trifles unwitnessed with eye or ear, thy coward heart with false bethinking grieves.
Even at this word she hears a merry horn, whereat she leaps that was but late forlorn. As falcon to the lure away she flies, the grass stoops not, she treads on it so light, and in her haste unfortunately spies the foul boar's conquest on her fair delight, which seen her eyes, as murdered with the view, like stars ashamed of day themselves withdrew.